On an August morning in 1966, a young boy climbed a lonely hill in the Brazilian city of Niterói. He carried nothing but his kite, unaware that he was about to stumble upon one of the most mysterious unsolved cases in South American history. Hidden among the grass lay two bodies. Two middle-aged men dressed in neat business suits. Covering their eyes were strange handmade lead masks. The masks had no eye holes. No openings. Nothing that would allow him to see. There were no signs of violence. No blood. No struggle. Just two men lying peacefully, as if they had simply fallen asleep and never awakened. Nearly 60 years later, investigators and researchers still cannot explain what really happened on that hill. This is the story of the lead masks case. The victims were Manuel Pereira da Cruz, 32, and Miguel José Viana, 34. They lived in the town of Campos dos Goitacazes, Brazil. Together, they owned and operated a small electronics and television repair shop. Friends and neighbors described them as hard-working, respectable family men with wives and ordinary lives. But beneath that ordinary image was an unusual fascination. Both men were deeply interested in spiritualism and paranormal phenomena. They believed that electronic devices, radio frequencies, and electromagnetic waves might help humans communicate with spirits or higher beings. Today, that idea sounds unusual. However, during the 1960s, Brazil experienced a growing interest in spiritualism, psychic research, and unexplained phenomena. Within those circles, beliefs like theirs were not uncommon. On August 17, 1966, the two men told their families they were traveling to São Paulo to purchase electronic equipment and possibly a used car. That story was false. Instead, they boarded a bus headed for Niterói. They arrived around midday. Once there, they bought two identical raincoats from a local shop. Later, they stopped at a small bar and purchased a bottle of mineral water. The waitress later recalled that Miguel appeared unusually nervous. He repeatedly checked his watch, as if he was afraid of missing an important appointment. Interestingly, the men kept the bottle's receipt. It was a small detail that suggested they expected to return. Afterward, they walked toward Morro de Vintem Hill. That was the last time anyone saw them alive. 3 days later, while flying his kite, a young boy discovered the bodies lying side by side on the hillside. He immediately alerted the authorities. Because the location was remote, police and firefighters did not reach the scene until the following day. When investigators finally arrived, they encountered one of the strangest crime scenes they had ever seen. The two men were still wearing their formal suits. Their raincoats remained on top. Over their eyes rested handmade masks cut from sheets of lead. Nearby were an empty bottle of mineral water, 2 towels, and a small notebook. There were no wounds. No bruises. No evidence of a fight. It appeared as though the two men had voluntarily lain down and waited for something that never came. The notebook contained several handwritten instructions. According to the most widely accepted translation, the note mentioned a meeting at 4:30 p.m. It then instructed the men to take capsules at 6:30 p.m. After that came an even stranger instruction: protect metals. Wait for the mask signal. That final phrase would eventually give the case its famous name. But what exactly did it mean? Were the capsules medicine? Poison? A hallucinogenic substance intended to induce a spiritual experience? No one knows. And what was the purpose of the lead masks? Were they meant to shield the wearers from intense light, radiation, or something the two men expected to witness? To this day, no one has a definitive answer. Brazilian investigators immediately began searching for answers. Unfortunately, they faced a major obstacle from the very beginning. Because several days had passed before the bodies were examined, decomposition had advanced significantly in the hot, humid climate. As a result, determining the exact cause of death became extremely difficult. Laboratories performed thousands of chemical analyses searching for poison. None produced conclusive evidence of a toxic substance. Years later, reports suggested that radioactive traces may have been detected in a lock of one victim's hair. However, those findings were never conclusively verified. In the end, the official autopsy listed the cause of death as undetermined. That single word became one of the biggest reasons the mystery has never been solved. Without clear evidence, countless theories emerged. The first theory suggests the men willingly participated in a spiritual ritual. According to this idea, they consumed capsules to induce an altered state of consciousness while waiting for contact with spirits or supernatural beings. The second theory proposes an experimental electronic device. Since both men worked with electronics, perhaps they were testing equipment capable of producing powerful flashes of light or radiation. The lead masks may have been intended as protection. However, investigators never found any such device. Another theory involves murder. A man named Hamilton Bezani later claimed he had participated in a robbery that resulted in the deaths of the two men. According to his account, the victims were forced to swallow poison at gunpoint. Despite the confession, police found no physical evidence supporting his story. As a result, his claims were never proven. Finally, there is the theory that gained enormous popularity online. Some believe the case involved extraterrestrials. Supporters point to the mysterious masks, the cryptic note, and reports of unidentified flying objects seen in the region around that time. However, there is no scientific evidence connecting the deaths to aliens. The biggest reason is timing. If investigators had discovered the bodies within hours of death, modern forensic techniques, even those available at the time, might have revealed much more. Instead, 3 days of exposure to heat and humidity destroyed crucial biological evidence. Forensic science in the 1960s was also far less advanced than it is today. Modern DNA testing, high-sensitivity toxicology, and advanced handwriting analysis simply did not exist. Many experts believe that if the case happened today, investigators might finally uncover what really occurred. Unfortunately, that opportunity was lost decades ago. Outro today, nearly 60 years later, the lead masks case remains officially unsolved. All that remains is a haunting image. Two men lying peacefully on a remote hill. Two handmade lead masks covering their eyes. A mysterious note. And a signal they seem to be waiting for, a signal that may never have come. Or perhaps it did. And only they ever saw it. Was this a failed spiritual experiment? A carefully planned murder? Or a scientific test that ended in tragedy? No one knows. And perhaps that uncertainty is exactly what has kept the lead masks case alive as one of the world's most fascinating unsolved mysteries. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more mysterious true cases from around the world. And let me know in the comments, which theory do you think is the closest to the truth?